Regular verbs. Simple rules and examples for past tenses. Regular verbs are verbs that follow the same pattern for the past simple and the past participle tenses. These verbs are the easy verbs to learn. They are easy because they have a rule that works for all regular verbs. They all end in ed. The rule for regular verbs is to add an ed onto the end of the infinitive. This rule applies to the past tense and the past participle. The only tricky part is pronouncing the ed. Let's take a look at a few examples. Allow becomes allowed. Call becomes called. Guide becomes guided. Help becomes helped. Pause becomes paused. Play becomes played. Remind becomes reminded, and try becomes tried. Let's take a look at some more examples in action. I've been called to an emergency. I climbed up. Now I can't get down. I slightly overcooked the chicken. They are parked over 2 bays. I've just slipped on a banana skin. I've trekked all over the Andes. They've worked hard all week, so I'll let them finish early today. I've wrapped her present. We don't simply add an ed to the end of all verbs. Let's take a look at some spelling rules for regular verbs. Rule number 1. If the infinitive ends in e, simply add d. For example, like becomes liked, move becomes moved, and die becomes died. Rule number 2. If the infinitive ends in a consonant plus y, change the y to an I and add ed. For example, cry becomes cried, study becomes studied, and worry becomes worried. And rule number 3. If a one-syllable verb ends in a single consonant after a short vowel, double the consonant before adding ed. For example, stop becomes stopped, grab becomes grabbed, and drop becomes dropped. Let's take a look at the ways in which we pronounce past tense regular verbs. If the infinitive ends in a G, L, N, R, S, V, W, Y, or Z sound, say the verb in full and add a voiced D at the end as pronounced in day, dog, or dream. For example, annoyed, moved, offered, and pulled. If the infinitive ends in a C, K, P, X, CH, GH, SH, SS, or TH sound, say the verb in full and add a voiceless T at the end as pronounced in talk, time, or tea. For example, jumped, noticed, placed, or raced. And finally, if the infinitive ends in a T or a D, say the verb apart from the final T or D and add it to the id sound. This sound is the same as pronounced in bid, did, kid, or lid. For example, handed, needed, trusted, or wanted. Don't forget to visit the website and subscribe to our channels for more on regular verbs.